What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome back. The OUA show is back. We're going to be teeing up the final week of the regular season of OUA action. And we have a ton of playoff scenarios on hand for this one as we are gearing up for who is going to run to the Yates Cup.
We've got 8 playoff scenarios in the OUA West alone, but we're going to start in the East where it's pretty simple. Panda game rematch, Ottawa GGs against the Carleton Ravens. This one, winner hosts a playoff game, loser sees who they play depending on the Toronto game. So if Carleton wins and Toronto wins, it'll be Ravens, Toronto, Queens, Ottawa. If the GGs win, it goes Panda Game 3.0, Queens, Toronto. But the main thing with this one is who do we see on offense for the Carleton Ravens? Because last time these teams matched up, it was the first game for Tristan Van Koffnet. Now
running so well.
Full season, full second half of the
playbook's
season.
Wide open. I might want to see a Simmons to run.
Adjust to this offense.
And that's
where
where they
really
go with. And he finds his way, walks right into the end zone. Touchdown, GGs.
They've been getting things going.
Simmons
I want to see in this one with the GGs because we know what kind of game this is going to be. Anytime these two teams match up is just hard-nosed, intense football. But I want to see Ben Miracle not get overwhelmed by the moment. And I want to see Ben Miracle just let his playmakers be playmakers. Don't try to do too much. We know that you're a good quarterback. We know you can throw the ball, but show us that you can be an efficient quarterback and a winning quarterback in this one. Just don't try to do too much. Don't try to put it all on your own shoulders to win this game. Let the game play itself out. Just do your job as a quarterback. Get the ball into the hands of your playmakers safely and securely.
Next matchup in the OUA East, we have the Toronto Varsity Blues heading up to York with a rematch of the Argo Cup from 2 weeks ago. For Toronto, it's pretty simple. Win and you don't play Queens. If you get to that 3-3 record, finish at 500, you'll finish third. Maybe you'll finish second and host a playoff game if the GGs take care of business on Thursday night. But for Toronto, this is the question to me. Can this offense put anything together going into the playoffs? We've seen them kind of sputter and chunk and have moments and spurts. And then last week they had a 0-point performance against the Guelph Griffins. Can they get on the board early? Can they get on the board often and get the receivers involved? Lovegrove, Corby, Lehman, can those guys get together?
And Wade, I've got one more question for you and the Toronto Varsity Blues. Can you stop the run? We saw this last time out when they played the York Lions. Darnell Jarrett had himself a day running all over the field. So for me, that's another key in this one. You're going to need to look out for Darnell Jarrett should he be in the backfield and stop the run game of the York Lions. You can't get trapped by the fact that it is the York Lions because they've been turning it on late, playing good football and playing teams close. Noah Craney, good quarterback for the York Lions. Darnell Jarrett, we know what he is, so we need to see Toronto stop the run game from York.
And will York be able to put their special teams issues behind them? We will find out this Saturday. Let's move to the OUA West, where things are a little bit more crazy and complicated. We've got Western with 1 loss. We've got a couple teams with 2 losses and a couple teams with 3 losses. But everyone's playing the perfect matchup that will determine if we end up with a lot of 3-3 teams. We're going to start with Western against Windsor. The Windsor Lancers 2-0 at home this year, but they played Western 2 weeks ago in London and they got boxed. Western's defense came out and showed why they're one of the most dominant forces in the OUA behind Austin Ford and Miller and Rory Kelly. Can they do it on the road?
And Windsor is arguably one of the best home teams right now in the OUA. They've had 2 great wins at home now. London's not as far from Windsor as these other matchups are. London, the Mustangs don't have to go as far down the 401 to play the Windsor Lancers. However, it still seems to be a tough place to travel to and a tough place to play in. So on this one, Western, rely on that great defense, rely on that great run game. What travels well in football? Defense and run game. Keon Edwards just popped off for 250 and 3. So let's see a heck of a lot more Keon Edwards, Austin Ford Miller, and Rory Kelly. And for Windsor in this one, same deal. Use your defense to kind of do what you do and suck the life out of teams and then hammer in the mouth with David Adeniran. that is the formula for Windsor in this one.
For the Windsor Lancers, if they win, there is a chance they sneak into the playoffs. For Western, it's all about locking up that number 1 seed. They win, that's taken care of. If they don't, they're going to need some help to stay on top from the McMaster Marauders as they take on the Guelph Griffins. Mac's offense has been struggling this year with turnovers, but last week against York, we saw them get on track with a big win. This Guelph defense, though, is a different beast altogether. AJ Allen, Jared Beeksma, and the gang have been playing lights out. Do the Griffins continue and give themselves a shot at the number 1 seed in the West?
This is going to be a fun game. I'm really excited for this one. This is one that I had circled on my calendar and coming into this week. For Mac, limit those turnovers. Like you were saying, you were playing a very tough defense. We know that they're going to pressure you, get in your face, try to make you uncomfortable and force those turnovers. But on the other side of the ball for the Marauders, Keandre Smith and Clark Barnes are coming off a combined 5 touchdown games. Sean Law looks like that dude right now for the Guelph Griffins under center. So you need to control this offense because it can pop off at any moment. Clark Barnes is a returner too. You're going to need to look out for him on specials, but McMaster has one of their own, Jackson Cooling. You can't let him go in the punt return game either.
And last, but certainly not least, the Battle of Waterloo. Waterloo has a chance to miss the playoffs after coming in as one of the favorites to contend for the Yates Cup. Laurier has been carried by their fast defense as they've had Connor Caracello dealing with an injury, but he is back in a big way. Had a couple touchdowns, including a very acrobatic throw. But for the Waterloo Warriors, will Trey Ford be able to put on the backpack and carry his team into the postseason in a year where even head coach Chris Bertoya tweeted, "We've underachieved, but it is on to the Battle of Waterloo," as they look to give themselves a fighting chance for the postseason.
And this is going to be a tough matchup. I don't think Michael Falds or the Laurier Golden Hawks have forgotten about the first time around in this one. They took a loss that they weren't expecting and didn't want to take. I don't think any team wants to take a loss. That might be kind of a redundant thing to say, but it is what it is. They haven't forgotten. And I think what we're going to see from this one, again, is Tommy Bringy all over the field. I think we're going to see that Laurier back end on defense just kind of sit pat, play hard, shut down the wide receivers, force Trey Ford out of the pocket. Because if Trey Ford has nobody to throw to, he's forced to run. And he's a great runner at that, but it makes it a little bit easier on a defense if you know that he's got nowhere to go, nowhere to throw to, and he's just going to try to make a play with his legs. Yes, he has that escapability and he can break yards on you if you don't cover him down properly. But Laurier's defense has proven to be one of the best on the season. Look what they did against Western. They shut down Western for the first half and a bit of that game. And I think if they had played a full 4 quarters of football in that one, they might have snuck away a win. So I think if we see more of the same in this one against Waterloo, they should be okay.
And that is all you get for your OUA slate this week. There is a ton on the line. There's a ton of games going on. And if you want to catch them all, OUA TV is free to sign up. You can catch every game live. And if you miss it, you can catch it on demand as you please. You can get soccer games, field hockey. We're starting to get into hockey and basketball, volleyball seasons as well in the OUA. So you guys can catch all those games there as well. But for the football, we've got lots of playoffs starting Thursday night in Ottawa, all the way through to the far end of the 401 in Windsor. Playoffs are on the line for every single matchup. This is going to be a fun one. For Connor and I, at Connor R. O'Neill, at Wade Zank, enjoy the final weekend of October in what's going to be a wild one.
And stay tuned to us on Twitter because we probably will be going crazy on there. So enjoy the games this weekend and we'll see you in the playoffs.